Hi, hello, and welcome to Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene, Priestess of Losi. I'll be your oracle today. Grant us a moment. We're just getting back in the room. The sound might be a little funky. Ad nauseum, ad infinitum. Okay, I'm going to do something. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing ABC 1, 2, 3. Testing XYZ 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. I was prompted to do some things. I'm gonna allow a few moments for people to get in the room. The title might be a little weird, okay? It may be a little bit of clickbait or something. That's not the intention. This is actually what we call the ad hoc report, brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous. I'll be your oracle today. Serene Priestess of Losi, Archangel Zafkiel, Baba Sapata, whatever you want. Ablosima. I'm gonna give a few moments so folks get in the room. It's a little bit late here, so it'll be a different time zone where folks are joining, but I'm just gonna do a quick little read of the energy and see how things fit in, okay? This is a bit of a running spread. So what I know so far is that, yeah, there's somebody out there who has, now, housekeeping, for the spiritual attacks, that means many different things for many different people. Sometimes a spiritual attack can be your own lower energy attacking your higher vibration because you're starting to detox, you're starting to ascend to a higher vibration, you're starting to, let me check this camera angle as well. So think of it like when you kick out a toxic lover or narcissist out of your life even, and you start to do your little thing, they could sometimes fight back. Well, demons do the same thing. And a demon is similar to demi-urge. It's a lower nature. We have this intellect in our stomach, intellect in our mind. Okay, so it's the lower nature fighting back, trying to get its hooks back in or grow more roots or whatever. So let's not give this the most negative connotation. It is going to be a little bit of a prickly conversation, so let's kind of smooth it out a little bit. And let's just check in and see where we fit in so that we can optimize and harmonize and grow to the highest vibrational outcome. I call upon the Great Spirit to bring down the angel energy of this year, Mr. H, Vodoun Havioso, typically talks about our divine nature. It's the greater benefic. It's the part of us that expands and merges back into Great Spirit. Like I said, I call upon the angel to bring down the heavenly spirit. Please shield us in the love and the light and the logic of the great goddess and all the benevolence of the cosmos. I ask that you guide us and educate us on how to protect ourselves and revere ourselves lovingly, righteously, earnestly, and sovereignly. I'm going to go ahead and check in with said angel and see what the heavenly spirit is doing. So yeah, there are some blockages. Gatekeeping, I call it. Because we need to stand strong and secure in ourselves, and there is a little bit of a need to isolate. Okay. So this attacks, we're gonna just see what's going on because it seems to be a collective thing. I myself, I don't really know if I'm going through it. I don't like to label things like that. So there's definitely a need for protection here, gatekeeping, holding our ground, but it's not holding our ground in a sense of like defending actively. It's about attitude. It's about consciousness. It's about thought vibration, frequency, energy vibration. Okay. And there's a little 2 9s is a little bit of a forced isolation. So I did have some energy that was shuffled into the deck. It's right here. the Queen of Swords and the Seven of Swords. So that is somebody who's using power. I'm just going to go ahead and pre-read the story. It'll give us a few moments to check in. Why don't you go ahead and set an intention? And I'll respond to that in a moment. So the intention, some guidelines for the intention, some promptings for the intention would be just to remain in the love and light and to remain, fully alive within inside ourselves. That's called energetic self-mastery, which means that we have full power, control, autonomy, franchise over our energetic body and our consciousness body, okay? Grant me a moment. I'll repeat so that the silence doesn't fall upon us. Dead air is not pleasant for the radio waves or YouTube or the whatever, what have you. So again, this could be a Libra, could also be an Aquarius, but the Aquarius seems to be a lot more benevolent. I'll elaborate, elucidate, illuminate in a moment. It's some subtle stuff too, so that's cunning, baffling, deceptive crafts. Now, on a lighter note, that could just be that the battle, the conflict, which technically the definition of conflict is two people in the same county, that could just be somebody's lower nature, somebody digging in from their ego, somebody has taken a slight, an offense. It could also be really toxic and malignant. Somebody wants to separate, denigrate. Okay. Oops, I didn't read that whole story properly. Okay, so it's telling me that this is a long time coming. I should have been done doing this for a minute. Okay, and we have the story. So I'll read it down, yeah. The command, heavenly command has asked that we do this today. Okay, so I'm just gonna pre-wire us and then we'll get into, I'm gonna go ahead and collect the findings and then I'll impose the guidance. It'll all be the thought, okay? And if you set your intention, we'll go ahead and pull some archetypes in just a moment, my dear. Again, hi, hello, and welcome to the Ad Hoc Report, brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Priestess Ablosi. I'll be your oracle today. I was sent by the temple to deliberate my findings over the current collective pain, curiosity, contemplation on spiritual attacks, spiritual warfares. I would like to smooth out and soften those verbs, that language, just the conflict, the spiritual conflict, the growing pains, if you would. Sometimes when you evolve into high vibration, the lower vibration tries to pull you back down, whether it be an entity, an energy, a frequency, a vibration, whether it takes on the form of a person or a disincarnate spirit, whether it's earthbound, heavenly, divine, or lower vibrational, whatever, what have you. Let's move on. So the wisdom here is the Seven of Swords, which means breaking out, breaking free. Now, I can talk about cunning, deceptive, baffling energies. There is a being here. So ultimately, the goal would be to strip the psyche, strip the consciousness of illusion, come to bear with reality. It will require discernment because growth of a spiritual nature is required to maintain alignment and balance here. So it would look to those of a low vibration or who are kind of asleep that things are happening to them, but really they're happening for us. This person, place, or thing, energy, frequency, vibration, environment, surrounding, location, whatever this conflict is, it is designed for growth. It's just it's particularly unpleasant and it can be somewhat unfair. because it's not proper boundary setting. There's an intention here to cause emotional anguish. It's literally the word I'm receiving is destructive punishment, but there to someone is here is set out to hurt or harm feelings. Okay. Now, have a devotion to God being even or equal with your spirit, with your God, with your devotion, with your God's ancestors or spirits. What that would look like is being in alignment, having discernment, and having faith in creation. Otherwise, you're going to get washed up. This wave is going to take you. So the only way to root yourself, to anchor yourself, to ground yourself would be to have a strong sense of faith, hope, optimism, belief in the bigger, brighter, and better, which would include the triumph over evil requires being in alignment with the self, truly, rooted in spiritual principles as well. It's going to look like different strokes for different folks. I practice Vodoun. If you'd like to learn more about that, there'll be some information in the show notes eventually, like a day or two after this video. The live videos right now, since they're going through Zoom, it's limiting the capacity. We've got to just, progress comes before perfection, okay? So we've got to, the show must go on. We've got to push out content, and we'll come through and refine the aesthetic beauty of said content as we go on, mainly the show notes and descriptions and channel discussion page, etc. Let's continue. So we're going to go forward here, but it's going to require that this is it's in the bag, meaning we're going to overcome this. The thing is, it's going to require that a lot of us find soul's wisdom, look for a higher meaning, but we're looking for the higher meaning within ourselves. So that's going to require that we have an authentic sense of self. Okay. And a lot of us, if we are in the vibration that makes it easy for disincarnate spirits or low vibrational spirits, 50% of our thoughts, 50% of our feelings don't come from our own mind, from our own authentic self, whether it's our intuition, our intellect, our identity, or our instincts. So this 50% of thoughts, 50% of feelings, they're coming from somewhere else. Let's hope they're upstairs, not downstairs, okay? So the Four of Cups talks about like you're ripe for the picking. So what kind of pickings are they? Are they divine pickings or demonic pickings? And demonic means that it's something spiraling downwards, it's something more selfish, unaligned, it might be broken. It might no longer be in alignment with the universal spirit, with the oneness vibration, okay? So there's gonna be a lot of conjuring, yearning, wounding, and yeah, there could be a little bit of ego or hysterics. Okay. Whatever that looks like, different structure for different folks. Okay. And it's gonna be a slow, plotty kind of overcoming because it's very physical. It revolves around our say Vodoun. So it just means that the part of us that connects to the heavens, the part of us that shows up in God's house when we pray, we're down here on earth. And when we attach to the cord and the thread and, our palms are pressed in prayer and it's earnest and it's solemn and it's sincere, there's a part of us that's attached to a thread, golden thread, silver thread, whatever your theory is. And that part goes to the heavens. That is the same. All right. Yeah, the cycle's going to be okay. It's just going to be most particularly unpleasant. Sounds about right. So I haven't taught the technology that I'm using. Tarot, of course, yes, but This spread doesn't even have a name. As I said, we'll be deliberating the findings from the Thoth. So I'll be imposing some guidance from the Carolyn Miss archetype cards. Remember, I was saying, why don't you go ahead and set an intention. So my intention is enlightened and benevolent leadership benefiting those in my charge. And that's contrasted to excessive feelings of entitlement or any type of rulership or guidance without restraint. This is on the grounds of a willingness to follow intuition, even when others are doubting or misunderstanding. And it does require a little bit of push and impetus, meaning putting the actual work in, showing up, participating, being present, negotiating, navigating, versus just relying on like luck, because you kind of create luck. You know, hard work meaning preparation, that's luck, okay? So for those of us who are awakening, we have the Knight archetype. And for those of us who are more on the awakened side, that's relative, we have this child orphan. So the child orphan is where we want to be looking. And it's clarified here by the higher self is this queen, but we have the lower self with this 2 of wands. So that is a bit of warfare because it's somebody who set up a system of oppression for another person. They're using their judgment poorly, in my opinion. So they think they're vilifying or being vengeful for some kind of feelings of abandonment, stifling maturation, inappropriate teaching or healing or guiding or cajoling of like children. We have the child orphan here. So typically they're the people that seek out teachers, seek out mentors, because there's some aspect of them going alone and needing guidance, mentorship to overcome specific fears about survival. So the child orphan archetype comes up a lot when a person's been broken from a cycle of healthy socialization. So what is culture? Culture is the ability to cultivate based off the environment surrounding location, and it's systemic and taught, meaning it goes from hunter-gatherer to tribal, meaning the elders teach it to the parents, teach it to the children, okay? So that looks like independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of survival, which means that there's been some type of trauma. Now we're in adulthood, and we're needing to use this pain as a guiding light, not as a crutch, to go on, participate, negotiate, navigate, be present. And also sometimes we utilize it as medicine. So the shadow here would be allegiant to destructive rulership or principles, delusions, especially romantic delusions, in contrast to loyalty, romance, chivalry, love, honor. So if you don't have principles, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Okay. So yeah, I would say like the Queen of Wands is definitely a card of witchcraft. And we have the 2 of Pentacles, I heard 2 of Pentacles, so that's relevant to somebody. This could be a person who means that they're on you, meaning you may have you may win the battle, but the war is long-term, meaning you may take some L's, you may take some lickings, and you may see them unfazed, and that's not pleasant for them. If you see them unfazed, they're going to go in and try again. They're going to just keep trying to see what works, keep trying to see what works. And this queen has a lot of power. I mean, literally, that's the card of the witch, Queen of Wands. Because there's some righteousness here. It would appear like, oh, they're justified because of honor or rules or laws or whatever BS they tell themselves. And it's what they're doing, the tactics that they're using, because we have the number 7, it's a subtle 7, meaning not out. I mean, it is out, but not the 7. It's the 7 of Cups is here. So that's conjuring up some wounding or hurting from the past because of longing, yearning. Typically, it's either pouch-oriented if it's present, it's overwhelmed, or if it's future, it's hysterics. Okay. So there is a growth that's coming forward about the soul group. People are starting to move into the different places because they're your Matriarchal Tribe. And there might be a growing dispersal, a growing dissension. We have a little bit of child energy here. Child's out on the board today. So what I'm sensing is there might be mounting something. Okay, definitely with the 7 mounting a defense. Oh, we do have the 7 of Cups out here. Well, let's start looking at that. I was born like this. This gift is amazing. Blessed be the goddess. Thank you so much for your reverence. You know, I'm sensing here that there's something mounting, and there's just too many. On a lighter note, there's just too many of something. Too many love options, too many tears, too many hurt feelings, too many this, too many that. And somebody has started to take some kind of defense, but they're getting cutthroat. They may think they're coming from love, but they're not being loved. And it's something where they're not showing, they're not demonstrating, they're not exhibiting a loving energy. And so you can see clearly, you can see this King of Swords, he does have proper judgment, but it's like you need to see with love. If you're using power and it's broken, it's devoid of love, that's a problem. Let me adjust the camera a bit. Excuse me. I tried, I attempted. So you have to see with love. You have to rule with love. You have to, if your judgment walks into the room before you do, and I'm going to talk to us like we can affect ourselves because we can't affect the other person. The thing about warfare is don't fight. I mean, you gotta protect your children, but literally don't go to war. And if you find yourself in war, go home and take a bath, right? True. True. Because we may find ourselves needing to defend. In your judgment, shouldn't walk into the room before your love does. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the problem. Because this use of power is designed to make somebody cry, it's designed to hurt, to prove a point. And see, that's not real teaching. That's not loving, that's not caring, that's not guiding, it's not empathetic. People do better when they know better, and hurt people hurt people. Whatever the circumstance situation is, we have 2 sevens. There is warfare here. We have 2 twos, so there's alliances, but they're friendly alliances. But they also can be hidden. They're not clear yet. They're not fully vested. They're So they would be somewhat changing, and some of these alliances are going to cancel them out. Some people will fall in love with the idea, fall in love with the story, fall in love with the lie. On day one, come day 15, they've abandoned the perpetrator of said whatever lie, the story, the storyteller, whatever it is. You have 2 4s, which means there's going to be shifting foundation. Yeah, so there's a woman or motherly figure central to this. She can be very Venusian. I'm hearing mommy, mama. And okay, this I was getting that this person feels righteous, but they're not loving. They're judgmental. And it's very much a female. I mean, we have a female central here, sitting on the throne. So she's high over everybody else. And I was getting this energy before, and I did say Libra. We do have a Libra energy here. This would be somebody who's a witch, somebody who has power, somebody who's not unknown. We have the sun could be in an air sign, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. We have Jupiter here. It could be in Cancer or an air sign, especially Libra or Aquarius. We have Mars here. Mars could be in Aries. Venus could be in Aries. Moon could be in Aquarius. Moon could be in Capricorn. Moon could be in Scorpio. Venus could be in Taurus. Venus could be in Aries. If this is resonating with some of you, then I'm talking directly to you. You know, we enter in this situation with spiritual laws, needing to understand things from a spiritual perspective, but going about it in the day-to-day life. It's not about the experience, it's about the practice, the technology, literally bringing order over chaos. It's swift, it's firm, because the challenge, the obstacle, the crossing, over the next 4 weeks, this will heal. So if you're going through some kind of spiritual warfare, or even being launched attacks, attack could be gossip about you. That's attack on your character. Over the next 2 fortnights, that's 4 weeks, something's gonna shift, it's gonna heal itself. But you'll need to be independent in your thought. Find your Shakti energy, go towards the heavens, pray, meditate, contemplate. Because the sacrifice to be made here is that, well, in 3 days, you're gonna have a full understanding about the group that this is taking place in and where everybody falls in the narrative of the situation. For most of us, it's gonna happen in 3 days. So right now, we're working on a week since or a week till something happens. So we'll be about 3-4 days in to the situation where all of the subtle things become clear. There's somebody doing a work here. For the spiritual folks, there's somebody doing a spell or working of some kind, and they're gonna pray or or for another 3-4 days into this. They would have been praying for 4 days. They're going to put another 4 days into this. This has been, there's going to be a transition. It's already clearly seen here and clearly planned. You know, if you're on the receiving end of this, it would feel like there's a whole system against you. There's a whole group of people against you. Everybody's made their mind up already. You weren't informed. You were not notified until the conflict came to kick you in the booty. And it's a kick in the gut. And it's not going to feel loving, caring, and kind. And nobody's going to be willing to like have an exchange, talk back and forth. You're like this. It's made wrong, made bad, vilified. And for others of you, there's a hidden female attached to a male that you may not know about. Now, you might be attached to a male who's already occupied, meaning he's in a union of some kind. So if he's not a priest, if he's not a guru or guide, he's in a union with a wife. He's married. Now, another take on this is that there's two people here, a famous female or elevated female and a male who he's just an official. He's in the scene, but he's not high. He's not famous or exalted. And it does say something has been going on over the last 2 weeks. Some kind of judgment over the last 2 weeks. Well, you see, over the last 2 weeks as well, there has been judgment. It's duly certified here. It's going to take another 2 weeks. The work of judgment, the deliberation's almost over. Somebody's doing something, and I see a root here. I see a root. For those of you in the know who understand that. Okay, well, 3 days from now, there's going to be a choice to make about contentment. And see, we've got to be content in ourselves first before there's any type of reconciliation or healing. And I'm not saying a reconciliation, a healing, or a reunion. I see that we go to God, we go towards the heavens. Because the evolving situation here well, there's a lot of magic, there's a lot of ritual, there's a lot of hidden, and there's no revelation of the secret. And it does, this queen is agitating me because it feels like she's keeping a secret of some kind, and it's disempowering. And so they can hold on to some kind of power. It's almost like there's a scheme in place, and if the scheme doesn't work, it will be open warfare, but the warfare is subtle. It's just that the person who's coming into this cycle, the masculine, and it's not a love really here. The Two of Cups is out and the Four of Wands is out, so we have the twin flame and the soulmates here. We have the soulmate here. We enter into this cycle well, this masculine is loving, but so this female is actually not as powerful as the male. And if it's not a female or a male, the queen step represents your moon sign, and the king represents your sun sign. So I'm hearing that this is a person with a Cancer descendant, which would mean a Capricorn rising, could also be a Taurus rising, which would mean a Scorpio descendant. This woman or queen energy here, if it's not a woman, their moon would be either in Libra or Aquarius. There's an Aries sun here as well. You know, we enter the cycle with the masculine or this king needing to join whatever. And for whatever reason, this queen doesn't feel that the king joined properly. For whatever reason, the queen feels that he or she, needs to guard or mount a defense. And see, in reality, the queen is less powerful in a shape, an actual power than the masculine. But the queen has mounted a community defense. So collectively, there's more power than individually with the king. However, the king is going about things spiritually. The queen is all future oriented. So they have this scheme about how the king is going to be in the future. And that's literally the entire focus of the queen, how the king is going to be in the future. So let's read it down in different ways. If this is a relationship, there's a mistress. And see, you are higher than this. So you're dealing with somebody petty who's connected to, excuse me. So the queen could also be talking about a mistress. If this is not spiritual warfare, it is still spiritual warfare, but it's relationship, it's not community. Okay, so I'm seeing somebody who, there's two different stories here. If you're in a union and the union has been lasting more than 18 months, then you are the wifey and there's a mistress. Some of us are the mistress and we're future pacing, and we're going to find out in about 2 weeks what the future really looks like, which is a bit of abandonment because magic has been used to oust. And right now, there's no dispersal, meaning there's no thing that severs any ties, but it is on the way. And said differently, if this is a community situation, and community could be a spiritual community, it could also be the workplace. Even though this queen is less powerful than this king, the queen has a lot more favor, not just earthly favor, like celebrity or popularity, but like spiritual favor. It's just that their power isn't as great for whatever reason. And I feel like it's skill and cunning. But the skill and cunning here is social. They have greater social skill and cunning. But technical, for whatever reason, the king is a better practitioner. Whatever that is, whether it's actual technical practice, like understanding and tradition, the rules of the game, or with their will and determination and their ability to connect to spirits. But you see, somebody is ignoring the cost to everybody else because there's people around that are being, well, there's two different things I'm saying because it depends on if it's a relationship or like a workplace or community thing. Because if it's a relationship, this doesn't apply. there's just some unknown consequences. If it is not a relationship, this feminine is like, and I'm saying feminine because of the Empress. This feminine is, a queen could be a guy or girl, a king could be a guy or girl, because it talks about your sun sign and your moon sign. The Empress, that's the feminine nature. And if it isn't, there's a man and we're looking at the Empress for him, it talks about his insides, literally his heart chakra down to the sacral chakra. And the Emperor is the heart chakra up to the third eye. Okay, so somebody feels like they're representing a group of people or whatever intention they have, which is, it's like they're trying to force this king into something. They're using force. It started out subtly, but they're about to get buck wild because whatever subtle BS they're doing is not working. But the evolving situation is more magic. Okay, but this king stays high. This king actually gets even more elevated now. And see, now the queen has stepped off her throne and she's looking buck wild. She's showing her ass. She's embarrassing herself. So if you're married to some dude, walk. I'm not saying walk and live in marriage or whatever, but just disengage. You know, withdraw your energy, especially your bedroom pleasures, and conduct yourself accordingly. Now we do have severance here. The death card has come out. I'm gonna go until I see the twin flame energy. This feminine is going to get overly emotional. They're holding on to how they feel. So the facts are not changing when, I mean, their intention or their feelings are not changing when the facts become more clear. They're set on something. This Empress is really digging in. And there's times when that's appropriate. I'm not saying a justification. It could be that their feelings won't be subsided, and that can be fright. But the devil hasn't come up yet, and we don't have any 5s or 6s which support the devil. So I don't understand the fright. If there's frightened, it's the ego. It's the shadow, the fear, the ego. It's not actual necessitated fright. So let's continue here. Okay, so when all the weeks run out and everything, the masculine or this king is going to break free of this queen, and she's the one that gets chopped. He started out less elevated than her. Okay, so this specifically, because I was saying this king, this queen, that last statement I just made is specific to gender, because I try to avoid gender, but it came through. So this, what I'm about to say is male, female. He started out less elevated than her, and now, reversal. He's gonna be higher than she. Why? I don't know yet. I do not yet know. But again, a week from now, there's gonna be an ending, and it's on the female. It's on that Empress. But let's look at what this transition, and there's the devil now. I'm waiting for the Temperance card, that's the twin flame, or the Emperor hasn't come out yet either. We have the soulmate, and we have the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and the twin flame hasn't come out. So there's a conversation on the way. And it's about now, a day ago, a day from now. There's been 2 weeks of karma. So 2 weeks ago, there was this karma that needed to be addressed. And a week from now, there's gonna be an ending or a culmination or the entering of a new phase of a cycle. There's a plan, and it's on the feminine side. The feminine is trying to co-opt this masculine. I'm hearing, you're not gonna walk me down the leash like a dog. You're not going to walk me into some pretense, like a puppy on a leash. That's literally what I'm hearing and feeling, and I would be saying that myself to whomever, whatever. Me, Ablosima. Because it feels like pretense, plan. So that's disrespectful. When you show up to an argument and you already have your mind made and you're not open to any facts, you're not asking the person's attention, you're not mutually beneficially exchanging information, it's okay because you have your feelings, you have your thoughts, you have your experience, but those should inform your boundaries and standards. You get in and you share the boundaries and standards. You don't share your judgment, you don't share your opinion, you don't share what you think should be happening, you share what, because you don't work on people, you work on your relationship with them. And if it's anything other than that, it gets toxic really quick. And yeah, you might have to show up and say, okay, let me hear what you got to say, but homie, I got to also inform you on my boundaries, but you're stepping all over and you don't get to do that anymore. If you wipe your ass with my boundaries one more time, I'm going to, whatever that looks like for whomever. I wasn't, because one thing I can give the female, she might not be able to speak up. She might be one of those people who are like a peace at any price kind of person. That's Libra. They really won't have the hard conversation because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But you see, that's not the masculine. The masculine is very verbal and very loving, both of them. And for whatever reason, it's like the masculine, the karma's on the masculine side now. But I do see some stuff that the feminine was doing. You know, I'm sensing that the masculine is slow but powerful. So they're slow to recognize, realize certain things. They're also slow moving. They're also very instinctual in their nature, and they maybe need to, you know, female intuition is stronger than masculine intuition. Masculine intuition is actually instinct. Female instinct is actually intuition. So I think the masculine needs to grow out of that energy. He might be finishing the lower rungs of his low vibration. He might be stepping out of that. This is still to come, so it's finishing up right now because this over here is, there's karma to confront. I'm going to put it that way. Okay, so we have the masculine out, but the twin flame has not come. So the masculine masters this. I could see why he became more elevated than the feminine. It's triumph over evil. I don't know what this evil is. I'm not seeing actual behaviors. I'm seeing energy, frequency, vibration, circumstances, situations. I'm seeing cycles, beginnings and endings, and the culmination of said cycles, and the transition, progression of said cycles. I'm not actually getting behavior. I'm getting conversations. I don't know what these conversations were. I know what kind of conversations they were, but not what. I know what kind, but not what. Meaning, I don't know the content of this conversation. I can find that out very easily for me. It's just not here. It's not calling to me either. So I don't strive for things that don't make themselves known and don't knock at the door. I'm sensing that this is a karmic phase everybody needs to go through to grow in some kind of way. The masculine needs an initiation, the feminine needs to check her ego. I don't know another way to say it. And, you know, the feminine could be really subtle because Libras are sweet, but the thing about it, it's not about Libras, but, and I mean, I don't sense anything else here. I don't sense anything else here. I'm getting multiple energies for the masculine, Cancer, Pisces, Aries. I'm getting Aquarius and Libra for the feminine. That's it. This should not go any further than the 2nd of April. By the 2nd of April, this should be finished, whatever this is. By the 2nd of April, this should be finished completely. But I'm also hearing Pisces, so it could be wrapping itself up as early as February 22nd, as late as April 2nd. I'm hearing that song, I've been distant, keep my distance. Somebody's keeping space from this, and I do feel that there's a whole group of people. We have the 3, which is a community. We have that 10, which is a spiritual community. We have that lovers there, which talks about the community. It's community. And then we have 9. That's about your behavior. Literally, it's about honor and esteem and all these other little things. Romance even. Chivalry. Proper behavior, proper conduct. It's starting to make sense to me on a person. I stopped reading the tea, but today I'm drinking kombucha with pineapple puree. Okay. So the linchpin here, and it doesn't come right away, so y'all is gonna be wondering, what's this, this looking at hurt feelings, looking at wounds, all of that. Eventually a conversation comes. Now there's been conversations, but there's been no real conversation. It was all surface level, superficial service. Just paying the minimum payment on a credit card. There was no paying down that balance until February. Now it can start now. What is this, January? It would still be 7 days from now. The seed might be planted tomorrow, but it's still gonna be 7 days from now. There's nothing real coming through. Not for a minute, okay? I'm hearing people always try to get involved. Why are you trying to take a bite out of my mind? Maybe I'm used to this. Maybe you're just gonna be this way. Maybe this is who you are. Maybe I need to find a way to accept this BS from you. And that's coming from the masculine side. He's saying, okay, if this is not gonna change, how can I become okay with the situation? If the outside doesn't get any better, what needs to get better on the inside? But he's looking at ways to overcome it. And he did have some shadow, and then he overcame the shadow. So but it's like the feminine is like, you're gonna do what I want. I'm gonna break you. Okay, see, females like that piss me the heck off, because I could say some things, but it's just not clean. I'm tongue tied because I don't want to start cursing. Tell people what to do, not how to do it. Let them show their own ingenuity. If you inform a person of a problem and they ask for help, then go ahead and guide them. But you provide information first. Don't inform and instruct at the same time. You completely derail and erode their self, their sense of self, their authentic nature, their true being. And see, that's what's in the center of the sun. That's your eternal self. Because the obstacle is hope and future. So there's a female trying to guide a male, but they're not doing it correctly. They're being prickly, and excuse my language, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna say this. This is the family channel. Cover the ears. This female's being cunty is the word I'm hearing. Cunty. Cold. Harsh. Mean. But it's a secret meanness. Boy, this is getting eerily close to home. I don't want to read to y'all no more. I want to go pet my kitty and cry a bit. Let's keep going. I'm sorry to use that language. I'm just reading cards. I'm following my intuition here. Okay, so then somebody isolates themselves because a mystery becomes clear, and there's soul healing, but the thing about it is the masculine grows away from the feminine. When the masculine pulls his energy away from the feminine, that's when the healing happens. And the masculine is very into unifying, even though he's the king of swords, which has a tendency, that just means he has great judgment, great discernment. He's very loving. They are very loving, the masculine, because you have the king of swords with the two of cups, seeing with love, speaking with love, all that lovingness there. They're very clear on the union and being unified and being warm and being together. And the feminine is the one breaking everything up, breaking everything apart, driving schisms, derision, division. And the masculine has a healing from that. But there's a cost. Whenever these two cards come out together, it talks about the completing of a ritual and the cost paid for said ritual. The cost is they're not going to be in any type of, he's aware of the spiritual union to either her or the group, and he's going to step out of it. So he's going to have his wisdom, but it came at the price of the relationship. Yep. And again, he's higher than she now. Again, I said this earlier today, she is acting like she's hunting a beast or vanquishing a demon or something. See, I know this energy, and it's this righteous bullshit that comes out sometimes, excuse my language, but it's, witches get like this. They find some man who has independence, they don't like his sense of self, and they think they need to teach him a lesson, and they go at him in wrong ways, incorrect ways that actually are harmful. And they get some little niggle, some little chipping on the shoulder about how they're being treated, and it's always some version of not being respected, which could be true or not, because you just read behavior for respect. If you don't feel respected, you need to look at the person's behavior, and you need to ask yourself if you informed or instructed them on their behavior. You mention it twice or thrice, and then you withdraw your energy and move on. That's how that works. But behaviors perfect outcome because outcome drives performance. Behaviors affect performance, and performance drives outcomes. And the proper outcome here comes from the masculine, or this king needing to withdraw from this queen. And you see, they're not together, the twin flame, they're not operating on the same soul. He's being willfully different. And see, he comes into alignment. He has his own spiritual perfection. I'm looking for the actual earthly perfection now. Because it's a battle of wills, and she's trying to overpower him. It doesn't actually work. What she successfully does is restrict him. So he turns here, turns there to unify, to be together on the same page. And she just takes away all the sanctuary, all the refuge. Now, I don't know what this is. So there's still that parallel story of there being a wife and a mistress and one masculine. But this is spiritual warfare, spiritual attacks. Now, a version of a spiritual attack could be somebody, I'm gonna pray for you kind of deal, but you're judging the person that you're gonna pray for. So you go into prayer thinking of how the person should be, what the person should be doing, how their life should be. You're judging someone's life condition, not connecting with them and saying, how can I bring you into the light? Do you want the light? Or are you happy with your circumstances? Maybe the person's unaware there's a bigger and brighter and better. And until you inform them of a bigger and brighter and better, and they ask for a bigger and brighter and better, it's control. You're imposing control. And that's what I'm sensing here. Somebody is trying to overpower, and it's the feminine trying to overpower the masculine, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's been 3 signs of that, 3 repeating. It doesn't work. And he even goes all the way to her camp, and it's like, hey, homie, hey, sweetie, hey, daughter, here I am. Secure in the self. Here's myself. If you can't take this, then I don't care. And she still tries. She still tries. So it's being very clear to me now, but I was still trying to read, because in the beginning we had that mistress story. All I know is that the mistress gets what she wants, and the feminine is going to have to overcome the circumstances, because she's going to invest all that she can invest into the union, and then whatever happens, she looks at other options. Okay, this doesn't work out well for the feminine because the masculine's going to call judgment and the feminine thinks that nothing's going to happen to them, but the feminine has sowed the seeds of her own demise. And unfortunately, if this is a mistress situation and you are the wife, it doesn't go well for you. But listen, follow my instructions here. Do all the things you need to do except expressing your rage. You can express some anger, you can put some pepper in your speech, but if you get rageful, you're going to lose even quicker. But if you lose somebody and you gain yourself, you won. But make sure you mention it 3 times to them. Hey, homie, I gotta go. Hey, homie, this isn't working. Hey, homie, this is painful. I'm feeling disrespectful. Okay, Mr. Motherfucker, I gotta bounce up out of here. Unless it's like that, don't be like that. This trying to control, or doing subtle little slide things, or don't drop no hints. Just be clear and concise. Because the masculine is slow. He's very, I wouldn't say literal. He's very intuitive, but he responds to what he hears. If you give him words, he's going to prioritize the words over the feelings. Because now God has come to judge. We have the eye of Shiva here. Yeah, unfortunately, the feminine is the one that ends up losing in the end. And there's different ways to look at this. So this witch is not going to go well for them unless this witch is the mistress. She'll get what she wants. Otherwise, whatever other scenarios that I'm sensing, it's going to be a long time before there's a loss on the feminine side, but the feminine loses because judgment comes through and it wins on the side of the masculine. Masculine is the one that calls judgment, or whatever judgment brings down the lightning bolt. Whatever, because there's going to be a collapse on the feminine side. I was saying this earlier today. There's going to be a collapse on the feminine side. So the last card is the Temperance card, the Twin Flame. So now, this masculine is an angel, an archangel. And this feminine is an earth angel, a witch. He has the sacred flame, the source flame. She's a keeper of the sacred flame. He's a keeper of the source flame. He's a demigod and an archangel. And she's just a queen, an empress, really. The queen of queens. It's called a Maharani. All right, let's pull an angel card then. Crazy things are happening. Crazy things are happening. Yeah, the masculine is worried about losing his mind. See, on his side, he needs the angel of mercy, Zadkiel. And see, when I first saw it, I thought it was a devil. And see, that's the archangel right there too. The angel of time. So what happens is that the feminine, for a long, long time, works on getting the masculine's attention, but like, I'm getting pissed off at this feminine here. Okay, well, somebody's being loving. I reverse. The feminine is going to need to be merciful. So they may have some kind of point to make. I'm not saying that they don't. It's just that It's just that, one thing that I'm sensing is that the way the feminine goes about it is not the way that it's going to be effective for the masculine. And I can sense that the feminine is doing the best to be benevolent, but there's too many turns in the road. And if there's 9 opportunities, only 7 of them are going to be benevolent. She's going to take 2 opportunities to be a little cold and cunty. And that's going to fuck her senseless because the masculine withdraws his energy. Excuse my language. The masculine withdraws his energy. Somewhere along the line, his heart gets up and leaves. And then she has nothing to work with because now she's not even getting his attention. I don't know what to say else. I can see that she's trying to guide, but after a while, it becomes trying to control. Again, this could be a spiritual community, this could be a workplace, this could be a third-party love situation. Okay. By the angel, I asked that will be dismissed. And my queen came out. Again, got the same queen there. Okay, well, the work is done. It's complete. And it's the thing that's been here this whole time. Everything has come to the surface. All the messages have been transmitted. I've done my job. I've done my work. You all have a blessed day. I love you very much. I'm so sorry for my language. I do have the ability to control, okay? Just for whatever reason, I feel that was effective. But I would prefer to conduct myself with humility, dignity, serenity, and grace. And having a potty mouth is not that. Okay, take good care of yourself until we meet again. Until we meet again. Namaste, and Ashe. If anything that was said resonates deeply with you, you can go ahead and see whatever resources in the show notes. It will take some time, about 24 to 48 hours after the date of publishing, for those resources to be available. Again, welcome to the Ad Hoc Report, brought to you by Vertex of Abundance. My name is Serene Pierce Zablosi. I was sent by the temple to deliver the findings over any, there's been a lot of collective questioning about spiritual attacks and warfare. To conclude, I'm finding that there is a feminine trying to guide a masculine, and this guidance becomes control. This feminine digs in, and their tactics become less than clean. I'm finding a lot more ego on the feminine side, and the devil came out on the masculine side, but it talked about being slow, being dull. Yeah, having a low vibration, but the devil, when it's not gross, talks about not having higher intelligence, but having lower intelligence. It could also talk about being slow. It could also talk about being scary or being a little bit more dirty or being a little bit more pedantic, which means myopic. Not subtle, not refined, not getting those little nuances. Okay, kind of blunt instrument, but it evens out. Okay, so until we meet again, namaste, then and Ashe. Again, check the show notes. Love you all. Bye bye.